In this video, I'm going to share with you my story of how I went from dead broke to $24,256 a month with my own membership. So my story starts many years back when I dropped out of college. I had just 81 cents to my name and I was living with my grandma. And yes, I vividly remember the 81 cents because that is how much money I had in my bank account. I remember the bank calling me and telling me that they were going to charge me an overdraft fee. And if you've never had that before, then kudos to you. But I was dead broke. And what that means is they essentially punish you for not having any money. So I went into the bank and I begged and pleaded. I even cried. I mean, keep in mind, I'm really young here, but this was a really hard time in my life because I was completely dead broke. And I remember saying, please, please, please don't charge me an overdraft fee. It's going to be even harder for me to get my balance back into the positive. So that is why I remember that 81 cents very specifically. And that was definitely a turning point for me. I was in college previously for photography and art, but even after going to 3 different colleges, every time I would apply, they would tell me they had this great photography program, and they did. But then by the time I got there, they were getting rid of everything and turning digital. And I really wanted to study film photography. And not just that, but they also didn't teach you anything about actually making money. So I remember I'm like 3 or 4 years into school. I'm not even that far away from graduating. And I'm thinking to myself, how am I going to pay off all of this student loan debt? I had over like $60,000 in student loans. And there hadn't been one class teaching me how I'm actually going to make money with the skill of photography. And so while I was in college towards the end, I took advantage of all those resources because I was paying for them anyways with my college tuition. So they had things like where you could rent a camera from the library and things like that. And so I actually started to build up my portfolio and take really low paying clients just to kind of get my foot in the door. But I knew that my plan was to drop out of school. And that is eventually what I ended up doing. I just didn't see how graduating was going to change the trajectory of my life, especially because they weren't teaching us any way to actually make money with our skill. So after building up my portfolio, I started knocking door to door to door on different businesses' doors and saying, hey, do you need photos of your flowers? Do you need photos of your cakes? Do you need photos of your coffee shop? Like whatever it was that they sold, I'm like, I can take these photos for you. And they were like, how much is your price? I'm like, how much are you willing to pay? Like, I think one of my gigs was like $200 to take some photos of some fake wedding cakes to put on their website. But I was just really trying to muscle my way to success and just build my portfolio and just make any amount of money that I could. Because as you know, I was flat broke living with my grandma and I had just dropped out of college. Well, knocking on doors turned to me posting on Craigslist and Facebook and getting wedding gigs, and then wedding gigs turned into portrait gigs, and then portrait gigs turned into me opening my own studio. And before I knew it, I had a multiple 6-figure photography business and my very own studio. And a couple years into my success, a lot of photographers started asking me how I did it. They would book sessions with me just to ask me business questions. They would beg me to do one-on-one mentoring with them. And so I started doing one-on-one mentoring and coaching, but I quickly realized that between that and running my studio, I was super, super busy. I didn't have any more time to trade for money. And I wanted to continue to grow my business and grow the amount of money that I was making, but I had truly hit a ceiling when it came to the amount of my time. I didn't have any more time to give. And that's where the next part of this story comes into play. I was actually brought on to take photos at a women's business conference, and I met a couple women there who introduced me to this new thing called, drumroll, digital product. And they explained to me that I could take the information that I was already teaching in coaching and workshops and the things that I'd learned, the things that I was passionate about, and put these into digital products that I could put for sale. And I would only have to make them one time and I could sell them over and over and over without trading more of my time for money. I would be able to put them for sale online, drive traffic to those, and create a stream of consistent passive income. So when I heard about digital products, I knew that this was the right next move for me. So I started out by growing my following, and back then I actually grew my following with blogging and Pinterest. And within 6 months, I had well over 5,000 email subscribers, and I decided to start creating things like workshops and ebooks, digital products that were under $100 a piece. But little did I know that one of those ebooks would go on to make over $500,000 in revenue from just one $59 ebook. And over the years, I have created hundreds of different types of digital products, which I would not recommend, by the way. You should definitely get something working and then focus on it so you can scale it up. But I didn't know what I was doing. And you know what? Now it gives me a lot of credibility to be able to teach lots of different digital products. So it worked out. And by the way, if you're wanting to learn step by step how to create and sell your own digital products for consistent passive income, I have a brand new free training. You can go ahead and sign up for it right now. It's on demand and it is the first link in the description below this video. So after creating things like workshops and ebooks, I decided to add on things like courses and memberships. And these digital products are amazing to scale up your business, but I'm so thankful that I started with those lower priced digital products like ebooks and workshops, because those really get you to learn about how to use things like checkout pages, how to use email marketing, how to bring traffic, how to get sales. And building up something really big like a course or a membership takes a ton of time. So I think it's really important to learn those skills from lower priced digital products first, and then use things like courses and memberships to scale up your business after that. So fast forward to today, I have since pivoted from my photography education business to what I do now. And my business is called Freedom Creator, and I help content creators and aspiring content creators grow their followings on YouTube and monetize their followings with digital info products so that they can generate consistent passive income. And now that you know a bit about my story of how I went from completely broke to where I am now, you're probably thinking, cool, but how did you get to making over $20,000 a month with your membership? So as I said, my business now is called Freedom Creator, and I help content creators grow and monetize with digital products. And so that's exactly what I decided to create Freedom Creator Club, which is my membership all about that. So Freedom Creator Club starts at just $59 a month. And I teach things in there like how you can grow your YouTube following, how you can build your email list, how you can then monetize by creating a digital ebook or a digital workshop, and how you can launch those things and then sell them consistently for consistent passive income. The reason I chose to teach Freedom Creator Club in a membership format is because I'm teaching things that don't necessarily have an end point. So for example, if you're going to learn how to grow your YouTube following, that's a never-ending thing. You're never just one day going to wake up and reach 5,000 subscribers and think, well, I'm done. I don't need any more traffic. You're always going to need more consistent traffic for your business. Or for example, let's say you create an ebook and you sell it and you've made 20 grand with it. You're not just going to go, well, I'm good. I mean, maybe you will, but most people want to just keep growing their audience, keep growing their sales. And so it's really an ongoing thing, and we provide ongoing support. I host a weekly group coaching call, and we also have a members only Freedom Creator Club community as well. And so yes, the trainings and the actual program and the membership is awesome, but it's also about the ongoing support and community to get everything you need along the way to continue getting those results. So how did Freedom Creator Club actually come to be? Well, I started seeing pain points that people were telling me. I sent out surveys to my audience and they were telling me, I'm struggling with growing my following. I'm struggling with selling digital products. So I thought, hey, this would be the perfect thing to put as a membership. So the first thing that I did was I came up with the concept. I gave it a name. I decided on the curriculum and what I was going to teach in it. I built that out. I made one little sales page that I wrote in like 10 minutes. It was really bad. And I put that out to my audience, and lo and behold, I made it was between $13,000 and $15,000. Can't even really call it a launch. It was more just like a couple emails to my audience being like, here's the sales page. And to be fair, I wasn't trying to do like a big launch or a big promotion. I wanted to just sort of test it out and just put it out there quickly and see who would be interested. And the thing is, I was like, man, if I can get this many people enrolled with this crappy of a sales page, no webinar, nothing, then I know I'm really onto something. So that's when, after I launched it, I continued to focus really on growing my following a lot and improving the program and hosting those group coaching calls. And then January of 2024 is when we did a big relaunch. We revamped all the marketing, we revamped the program, we revamped the community, we revamped everything. And then we did a big relaunch with webinars and things. I did a separate video all about that and sharing all the data and how we did over $17,000 in cash collected from that launch as well. And if you're listening to this and you're like, this is cool, maybe I want a membership, but maybe you're not really sure which digital product you're 100% want to go with, well, I have a free list of all 54 different types of digital products that you can download 100% for free in the link in the description below this video. So all of that said, what is my framework for getting to a $25,000 or more per month membership? Well, here it is in 3 parts. Number 1, do a live webinar until it converts. Number 2, automate that live webinar once it's converting well. And number 3, consistently promote it. And again, guys, if you want my brand new, totally free training that goes way more in depth about how to create and sell your own digital products for consistent passive income, check it out in the first link in the description below this video. Okay, so what I would do to sell a webinar is do a live webinar. And if it converts over 10%, then it's good enough to automate. Personally, I like to shoot for 20% though, but at least 10%. If you don't get 10% conversion, then you need to keep hosting that live webinar, reiterating, improving it until you get it converting better. Because once you automate it, it's going to convert way lower than when it was live. So if you're only getting a live conversion of like 5%, you're going to convert probably under 1% for the auto, which is not good. You want to be converting between 1 and 10% for the auto, and that really depends on the price of the product. The lower the price of the product, typically the higher conversion, but it really depends. Then what you're going to want to do is automate it. Now, I've actually tested a few different methods here. One of the methods we did recently was I did the webinar live using Webinar Jam. And then what's cool is with one click, you can turn that live webinar into an automated webinar. You could build a funnel around it where people can opt in and watch the on-demand training. And what it does is it recreates the live. I make sure to tell people, obviously, it's not live, it's on demand, but it recreates the live. It even recreates when people commented during the live so that people really feel like they're part of that live. And I find that that does convert best. But System.io, which is the software that I use to run literally everything in my business, they just came out with a very similar thing where you can do an automated webinar. And I have one of my webinars with them, and that webinar converts really, really well too. And it was a lot easier to build out, and you don't have to pay for multiple softwares. So it's totally up to you how you want to do it. Then what you want to do is you want to consistently promote that webinar, whether it's live or auto. And how do I do that? Well, I do that by creating consistent weekly YouTube videos, by getting traffic. And what I do is I promote that webinar, but then I also have a ton of freebies to move people to my email list, and we promote that webinar there as well. But you're not going to get consistent sales without consistent traffic, so never forget that. And now that you know how I went from broke to over $24,000 a month selling my membership, you might be thinking a membership sounds cool, but you might be wondering what other types of digital products there are out there. But how do you do that? Well, it all starts with watching this video next here, because when you pair what you just learned with what's in this video, it's going to be so much more powerful. See you in the next video.